Hey friends, this is Marilyn from tarotclarity.com again, and I will be doing an interpretation. So if you're here for demonstration readings, please hang in there because you'll be getting it. But I still want to talk about yesterday's reading. Yesterday, I discussed a personal issue that affects myself and millions of other Americans are in the same situation. I have for those of you who need to catch up, I have my birth name, my family name, my surname is Spanish. I have one severely disabled brother who is dependent on care that I cannot provide him in my home. He has a very Spanish name. Unfortunately, on January 23rd, his name was flagged in the facility where he lives. And for the moment, he's been cut off of Medicaid, which is our country's assistance for people who are in need. But also, the bigger fear for me is that I'm going to show up at his facility. I am his power of attorney. I'm responsible for every aspect of my brother's life, medically, legally, and financially. And I'm terrified of showing up at his facility and him not being there because he's been sent someplace else. And he's not an individual who can speak for himself because I don't want to say too much about him privately, his private business, but I am his power of attorney, and if anybody has a right to discuss his case, it's me, and it's for the greater good. But I will say he is completely unable to defend himself intellectually and or physically. Now, why am I rehashing this again? Oh, so many of you have reached out to me, and I appreciate it, and any prayers and thoughts and anything that you can do, greatly appreciate it. But he's not the only one. He's just one of millions of people in this country who are directly affected. And we can be stressed out, which of course I am. I haven't slept. I don't know how, since January 23rd, I haven't slept, really. But it's because I'm trying to think of things to do, to take a stand. We can't roll over. We can't cry. We can't be victims. We've got to do what we've got to do. And for those of you who are like-minded, who live in the United States, take out your map, do some research, find the red states, boycott their products. I'm sorry to say that, but that's a start. Now, it pains me to say that. I have two other siblings. Manny and I live in New Jersey, but my two other siblings live in Pennsylvania. I love them dearly. They don't deserve to be punished. I know how they voted. They're not in, I don't want to speak their business, but I know how they align themselves. But for those of you who are in red states, you're going to have to find your own way of fighting back and making your voice heard. I wholeheartedly support Canada and other countries. Universal Bless Canada is boycotting red state products. And that was what the reading told me yesterday, as a matter of fact. I wanted to mention that, yesterday when it was just like all this doom and gloom, what can we do? And when I asked for clarification, I got the 5 of coins, right? And the 5 of coins says a shakeup of financial or well-being in general, right? So you hit them where it hurts, and you hit the pocketbook of the people who need to be hit. Now, for me, that's probably Amazon. Well, we don't have a Tesla car, so I'll never buy a Tesla product, and I don't have any stocks ever. I don't have any stocks. I have no faith in that. But there's a lot of people who have stocks. It's going to get real. And but I do buy Amazon. I'm a person who is unable to really go to the malls and shop for any period of time. I'm unable to really do a whole lot. I mean, I walk with the assistance of a cane. It's really hard for me to shop. So that's why Amazon is really attractive for me. But guess what? I'm not buying Amazon. I'm boycotting Amazon because these people, I'll have to do without. I have to do without. And if I can't do without, instead of buying, Amazon on a whim every other minute, which is what I'm accustomed to. Oh, I need this. I'll buy it. I'll maybe restrict myself if it's not realistic for me to not purchase anything from Amazon. Maybe I'll really curtail. If I can't, then I'll have to curtail. I'll have to, be very strict, and I'm willing to make that effort. So, the way we can have power is to do research and to do homework. It breaks and anybody who has a platform, if you're watching this and you have your own YouTube channel, you have a platform. If you do nothing else, just speak on the truth. Anybody with eyes can see what's happening. And if you refuse to see it, I just don't know what else to say to convince you. It's not just, libtards, overreacting. He's destroying the country. I refuse to speak his name. I refuse to say it. Absolutely refuse to say his name. Because giving name, naming something, writing something out, speaking something, it's a spell. Spells are words. Spells have power, right? I refuse to speak his name. So whenever I say the one whose name shall not be mentioned, or, you know who I mean. At the end, I think it was in the very beginning of this year, I think around January 12th, I did a reading for the next 12 months of this current year. And I want to revisit that a little bit, not the whole thing, but a few of the cards I want to revisit. I'm going to flip the camera, and I'm going to review it and I'd like you to have a say in this too. I'd like you to share with me your thoughts and observations as well. So let me flip the camera and I'll show you the few cards that I've decided to pull from that spread. Now, if you recall, I described how I do, the next 12 months cycle. It can be done any time of year, but I usually do it publicly on video for the next 12 months for the health and well-being of my country. Now, the first three cards, plus its quintessential card, addresses where we enter the new cycle at the point where we are. And we see what could be described, it's Jupiter, could be described as a volatile leader. Jupiter, was a powerful, all-powerful individual, like a god. He did good things and bad things. So we're entering the cycle with perhaps this guy on our mind. It was January 12th, so he hadn't quite taken over yet, but he was already the designated leader. And at the moment, we had stability. We had well-being. The Four of Coins speaks of well-being and stability. We see directly underneath the Four of Coins that we have an exponentially larger number, also suggesting well-being and a lack of chaos. However, right next to the Four of Coins And I apologize for the glitch. I don't know what's the problem with my phone. It's just been glitching all over the place. We have the Tower card. So it seems as though what we have there is like a spike of sudden change in the instability of power, right? We have currently at the moment before he took over, we have him on the horizon. We have stability, but then there's a sudden spike, a change in the stability. The quintessential card for where we enter that it was the Empress card, which is interesting because we have two cards suggesting powerful individuals. One's the female energy, one's the all-powerful and mighty Zeus, Jupiter rather. And it makes me wonder if it's time for women to take their voice. It seems like, think of all the people in positions of power who have spoken up to him. Think of the bishop. Think of the bishop. Think of other women in positions of power who have spoken without fear. Well, we're fearful. There's fear. Trust me, there's fear. I'm afraid. I just have a tiny little channel, but I have fear. I don't want to lose my channel. I don't want to lose my voice, but I have a voice and I'm going to use it. So maybe the power that we're going into this cycle is for women. Maybe this is a good time for women to speak. Now, remember January, February, March, April, and then it went to, I think this started July, August, and September. I only put September because September falls under the Eight of Coins. And swords and coins don't get along too well. So the false stability that we seem to have January, February, March is really challenged and perhaps falls apart. Maybe we'll feel the effects of our partners who used to be our partners, like Canada. I wasn't sure where the partnership, the whole time I was doing this reading, I kept thinking that there was a lover's card, like a bond, like a joint thing. And I was thinking that I wasn't sure what that meant. Now, it could mean his unholy alliance with his powerful oligarch friends, but it could also be swift action taken by people who used to be our friends. And so with this false sense of security that we may have, or he may feel in March, will fall apart by September. Now we have the Fool entering in, Fools rush in. You can take this to mean what you will. I know what it means. But then in February, which is where we are now, which is why I really want to look at this, we have a card that says announcements or being exposed or having to be held accountable. But it seems impossible that he's ever held accountable because he's the Teflon, you know what? He's never accountable for anything. He's empowered, which is why he gets away with everything. But February, it seems like there's like a big push for exposure, a big push for reckoning. Now, what I didn't pull out now, which I should have, and the deck that I used for this, by the way, is the Jacob Yerger by Artisan Tarot. It's a Best in Song deck, obviously, because we have the Jupiter card. But the quint caps for the first 6 months of the year was the Moon card. And the quint card at the end of the second part of the year was also the Moon card. So the Moon card represented the quintessential gist of the first 6 months of our year, as well as the second 6 months of our year. Now, I indicated in the reading that the Moon card as a quint card could suggest, things that were happening under cover of night or things that were being done without our awareness. But guess what? It's being done right in front of our faces. There's no secrecy. So the other interpretation that I mentioned that this card could represent is lunacy, instability of the mind, obviously. The reason I showed the 9 of batons, next to March, April, is because it represents social challenge, which is encouraging because maybe that means by January, February, March, April, maybe by April, people will really pick it up and we'll get some momentum because we have got to be unified. We have got to stand up. We've got to do something. We've got to have a voice. If you live in a blue state, boycott as much as possible the oligarchs' products and boycott also red states. It's hard. Let me flip the camera. I mean, it's really hard because we're such a global community. Something could be grown in one country, packaged in a state in the United States, and something else in another part of the country. So it's really hard to do your homework. But what we're doing in this household, we're doing a list of our favorite products, things that we buy routinely. We're investigating where they come from. If we can make a dent in the pocketbooks of those red states, that's what we're going to do. If you're in a red state, you're going to have to take a stand if you're a blue person in a red state. Now, if you're a red person in a red state, you got what's coming to you. I have no sympathy. I really don't. You got what you asked for. Suck it up, buttercup. For those of you who are blue in red states, you have to come up with your own strategy. You do. Because you're going to suffer. I saw last night that the Prime Minister of Canada was boycotting products coming out of the red states. So I felt really good that I figured that out before he made the announcement. But that's what we got to do. You got to hit them where it hurts. Anyway. Hopefully, I'm speaking to the attorney. And a person shouldn't have to hire an attorney. A person shouldn't have an attorney to navigate their privileges. Health is a privilege, not a privilege, rather, it's a right. I shouldn't have to hire an attorney to help me navigate and secure, make sure everything's okay with my brother. I shouldn't have to do that. I should be able to pick up the phone, talk to these Medicaid people, and talk to the same person twice and get the information I need to help my brother. I shouldn't have to have attorneys to do this for me, and they can't do it. They can't do it. This has been going on since January 23rd. Maybe before that. I just didn't get notification myself on that. And it's not going to get better. It's not going to get better. So please do what you can. Make it your business to print out a copy of the map of the red and blue states. Make it your business to go through the products you like the most. Figure out where they're sourced. If you can get another source or change your pattern of, somebody mentioned drink apple juice instead of orange juice, do it. Whatever you can do to affect pain where it will at the source, that's what we got to do. That's what we got to do. And women power, girls, we got to speak up, man. We got to do what we got to do. We got to do what we got to do. We all got to do what we got to do. Anyway, I better calm down. My blood pressure's. I got a brain aneurysm. I can't mess with this stuff. Until next time, friends. Peace, stay well, be kind. Thank you for your love and support. And always try to do the right thing.